May 12th, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart on the NinjaTrader 8 platform. You can look down at the descriptions below to see where I thought I saw setups as well as where I took my trades. I only took 2 trades today, both of them lost in quick succession. Then I decided that I don't think I was just in tune. A lot of things happened to me the other night, so didn't have the best night's sleep. So I decided I just wasn't going to try to press my luck. So you'll see my 2 trades. I came back later and I just wanted to try something on the platform. So you're going to see these other marked trades that don't really count, but they were marked. NinjaTrader recorded them, and I just wanted to, we'll skip to them, but there wasn't anything to discuss here. Overall, prices just kind of sold off in this really, really slow grinding move all the way down, and then it had a short-term rally. Just want to point out that the rally took back about 50% of the sell-off, because we throw a fib on here all the way from the highs to the lows. It looks like it came back about 50%. So unfortunately, it happened toward the end of the day, so you couldn't really do much with it to try to see if it's going to bounce or keep going. But it's just something interesting. So we're going to go through the trades today. I should hopefully go through it pretty quickly. Although this is a very, very big bearish move down, my experience level, I wasn't able to capitalize it correctly. For sure, I had 2 trades that I took and both of them lost. So definitely, I didn't trade it correctly, or I got, faked out. But more often than not, most likely, it's just my experience level made me think I saw something that wasn't actually high probability. So I'm going to go through it right now. So actually, the volume wasn't too high in the pre-market. As you can see, it was kind of chopping around. I'm not around to trade the pre-market. This trend line actually doesn't exist yet, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And it gradually kept evolving. So originally I thought I just saw a trading range. So when the market opened, this is exactly what you see. See a kind of a small trading range. Prices are just kind of obeying and staying within this pretty small, about 4 to 5 point range. Not enough for me to want to take a trade, especially when the candles are almost spanning the entire range. So it's just very congested. Prices kind of move up. They eventually break out and move down. I don't see a setup that I feel comfortable with. It goes up, and I have the highs and the lows of the pre-market drawn. So it comes down, it confirms and touches the bottom of the trading range first. So this is what I'm watching. I'm going to see if there's going to be a bounce, because it looked like it made 2 legs down. And so now I'm thinking maybe there's going to be one big leg coming back up. I also saw kind of a measured move from this down to here, and a potential second measured leg down to here. So now it broke down kind of like a 3rd leg. Now I'm wondering if it's going to bounce and kind of move back up. So right here, it looks like it's bouncing, but I don't see a setup. There's not even a first entry. It's just no break higher. Now I have my first entry. Prices continue moving up. Now I'm thinking there might be a second entry, but it's coming back down. Looks like it's struggling now. Now it broke through. So now I'm looking potentially for a failed breakout. It hasn't come back into range, so I don't see a failed breakout. Here I see a potential second entry short. So it goes from here. First entry short. The second entry short, this is a decent signal bar, but it's also conflicting with the idea that it could be a failed breakout, which means prices could move back into this trading range. However, this trading range really hasn't been confirmed, because even though it touched once and twice, and it hasn't touched more than once at the top, it could just be a trend that's developing. So at this point, I thought, okay, maybe I have something like this. Just to start off. At first, I thought maybe there's an overshoot, and I tried to capture as much of the price action as I could. So I actually had it like this at one time. So this is a second entry short. As I said, it's a good signal bar. I want to see a higher low confirmation to be more sure that this was actually a setup. Flashes up. So now you have a failed second entry short. It's coming back down. And I saw this as a potential higher low instead of a lower high, because I don't quite have a lower high yet. So the reason I'm looking for a lower high is if I believe prices are going to come back down. The reason I'm looking for a higher low is because I see a first entry short, second entry short fails on this big green candle. I see a higher low. I'm thinking at this point in time, prices are going to continue moving back up. So I actually enter the trade right here. I enter one tick above, and unfortunately, it stops me out right here on this tail right here. So then I also see a potential new high, first entry long, second entry long. So I'm keeping both in my mind. And I'm thinking in hindsight, this is kind of a counter trend. This trade that I took was counter trend to the bias going down because I had just drawn this trend channel going down. But I also thought, this big trading range might be in play. However, I didn't keep in mind that the trading range hasn't really been validated yet because it only touched once, came back down, hasn't made itself go up again. So I honestly probably couldn't have thought that it was a good trading range at that point. So then I do see a new high, first entry long, comes down. I'm seeing a potential second entry long form right here. So I say, okay, the second entry long here. It's a good signal bar because it's very tiny though. It's a good signal bar, but it also could be a failed breakout because I'm still thinking it might be a failed breakout back in this trading range. Little did I know after the fact that, this trading range isn't super certain yet. So I just thought, okay, well, I want a confirmation higher low to be certain that it's going to go. And on top of that, since this closed below or just above the EMA, the signal bar was below, I wasn't too sure about it. So then I get this higher low, and I decided to enter. I entered a little bit early, above one candle above this triple test, or this triple top, not triple test, but triple top. And I'm thinking price is going to definitely move back up. And I was sitting through this chop. I still haven't been stopped out yet. And then I get stopped out right here. It's hard to see, but my candle, my exit was one tick below this swing. So I took a kind of a bigger loss here. And in hindsight, since EMA was flattening out, I should have taken that into account on top of this candle. It's kind of a doji. The signal bar was also kind of a doji. So in hindsight, prices were pretty congested and I should have left it alone. But I think in the moment I thought, oh, obviously it's going to move back up. And also broke out of the shortened trend channel. It, didn't push up once until right here. And I didn't really wait for enough price action to come out before I took this trade, which I really should have, because this is kind of ugly price action. It's hard to tell which way it's really going to go. Even if though I thought this trading range was in play, it was too early to just assume that. So after I took the second loss, I thought, you know what? I was feeling tired. I don't think I was in tune with what was going on. I decided I wasn't going to take any more trades and I was just going to watch, price action for the rest of the day. So the rest of this is me just kind of sitting back and trying to see if I could catch actual trades without actually taking a trade. Prices break out of this prices break out of this trading range, comes down, it forms another trading range here, and then it continues down. So I'm just sitting on my hands, I'm watching carefully. At this point, I'm not sure that this trading range is even anything at this point, but I continue drawing this down. I bring this because I have kind of too many overshoots here. So I actually drag this down a little bit to capture these two touches. Prices continue moving down. Chops around. I don't see any good clean entries. There is a new low here. First entry short right here. Then a second entry short. This is too congested. Look at all these neutral to doji-ish bars, which is telling you that there's just a tug of war going on. You don't know which way it's going to go. It is trending bearish, but it's just too kind of neutral bearish. And so you're not really sure. So I wasn't sure, so I just sat on my hands. Prices continue moving down. So again, it's just really congested. Just can draw this further down. I saw a smaller shortened trend channel going up. There was a small little break below. It comes back up, breaks the second time. So you see it as two legs up. And then the sell-off continues. Let's just see how this looks. So that's kind of how my trend channel looking at that time. I do see a new low here. Actually, it's on this candle. First entry short, second entry short. I saw this, but this, as I've been fooled previously, the signal bar is just too doji-ish. It almost touched the EMA, but it doesn't quite make it to the top, right? And unless the signal bar was more solidly bearish, like more closed down here, made me feel more comfortable, then not touching it was kind of a double hesitation. If it went up and touched it, then maybe if it didn't close as nicely, it might be a trade. But it didn't close nicely as a bear, and also didn't touch and bounce back off the EMA. So there's two things going for it. So even though there's a second entry short here, it just didn't feel high probability enough. So even if I was still trading, I don't think I would have taken that trade. Prices continue down. You see a new high, first entry long, second entry long. Again, pretty terrible signal bar. And this time you would be going counter trend. It falls into this range, it gets pretty choppy. I do see a new low here, so I counted this as a new low here, because even though there's a lower low here, I grouped these together, said this is just pretty much a new low here. One leg up, first entry short. Second leg up, second entry short. And the problem with the second entry short is it's a bad signal bar, because your signal bar is right here and actually breaks one tick below. So it's a bad signal bar, but the trigger bar, which is this one, it closed pretty bearish. So that's pretty nice. So if you didn't take the trade and you wanted to see what happens on the next bar, because it could potentially be a failed breakout of this trading range, you get a pretty decent signal bar here. So even though if you'd eventually want to take it right here to get one tick below, or you'd want to take it up here if you're super confident it was coming back down. However, I just thought, okay, well, the trade might have kind of already happened without me. The best I can hope for is a lower high confirmation. So even if you put one tick here below this guy, to see, because after this bar closed, you thought, okay, I'm going to put my trade one tick below, you wouldn't have gotten filled. So now your only hope is to look for a lower high, but you certainly don't want the lower high showing up so far away. And it kind of shows up right here, pretty far away. It already had all these candles made, moved back into the trading range, and here's your lower high confirmation of the second entry short. But you notice that it bounced off this low, this resistance down here. So taking a short here just felt super duper risky and a really bad idea. So you had to let that go, let the trade go, which is kind of what I did. I'm assuming if I was still trading though, prices continue moving down, kind of falls down and starts making another small little trading range. I don't see a good setup. Breaks up above the EMA. So at this point, I'm pretty sure things are just trending bearish. So I kind of drew this further down. And I also kind of expanded this a little bit to try to capture, so one touch, two touch. This is pretty close. You count as a third touch if you want, and I have 1, 2, almost 3, and then you have an overshoot here. So I'm wondering if it's going to be an overshoot at the bottom. The prices continue chopping down. This trend channel is fitting pretty well at this point. I don't see any good setups here. It's too congested for me. Prices continue moving down, and now there's a break. So I draw this trend channel going up. This break is happening. There's this big overshoot. So now I'm thinking there might be an overshoot on the other side to continue back down. Prices continue moving. So it makes one push up, breaks out the other side. It's almost like a measured breakout from this side to this side. So now I'm thinking if this is kind of the short-term character of the chart, it might come back in. But I don't know if it's going to come back and test this high, because usually this breakout on this side, I feel like it's just going to keep going down because it made one leg and a second leg. So here I do see a second entry short from here, first entry short, potential second entry short showing up. Also a new high here, first entry long, second entry long. There's a potential failure. So if the next candle after this doji-ish one is bearish, then you have a confirmed second entry short. On top of that, if it breaks one tick below here and is bearish, it also has a confirmed failed second entry long. So if I was going to take this trade, I put my entry one tick right here, and I would have gotten filled here at 41, 21, 25, and then most likely I would have gotten my scalp on this next candle. So this is a possible trade right here. Even though the signal bar wasn't good, it has two things going for it: a potential second entry short and a failed second entry long. So it might have been worth a trade. And you have to think about the overall context of what's been going on all day. It's just been very, very bearish. So to believe that this breakout will continue and suddenly reverse the market, it's a little bit hard to believe, because this is also a breakout of this bigger channel coming down. It breaks out and it looks like it failed. So it's already spending some time down here, back in this trend channel. So leading me to believe it has some more strength by the sellers to push it back down. So all in all, I think this was a viable trade, possible trade to have taken. Price continue moving down, falls into the shortened trend channel that I noticed, breaks out and makes one push up. Now it's coming back and testing potentially this trend channel coming down. It looks like it's trying to break through it. It's having trouble. Now it's consolidating, so I'd be hesitant to think it's either going short or long. I see a second entry short here. I see a new low here. First entry short, second entry short, barely just above the EMA. So this signal bar isn't very good. It's kind of neutral-ish, but it did close above the EMA, but it just also made a new bottom. That's also the first break of this trend channel going down. And you would think it breaks, made one leg up, two legs up, and might want to come back down and test this, but it's conflicting with the idea that it just made this new bottom. So all those conflicting ideas just made me think, well, you're not sure, so you should just wait. Turns out it wanted to go bearish. It flashed down. So if you had your trade one tick below, you would have gotten filled, and you most likely would have gotten your core profit, even if you're going for 2 points. Continues going down. Now it touches the bottom. It's testing it. One test, two tests. There's a third test. And you could say this is a new high, first entry long, but you don't see a second entry long, even though there's a triple test. And here you do get your second entry long. So second entry long would have been right here. You would have been able to ride this up. I was trying something else, so disregard. This isn't a valid trade, but I think I tried to take this trade, but I accidentally sold instead of went long. And I just wanted to see what would happen. But this is a long trade would have been right here because it closed above the EMA and it kind of made 3 triple tests at the bottom. And you would have gotten profit here. There's also a second entry short. So I saw this as a new low here. First entry short, makes the second leg up, second entry short. Second entry short, excuse me. Second entry short is a possible trade. It's also a possible triple test because you 1, 2, 3. So remember, the overall bias of the day is still very bearish. So let me just extend this trading range a little bit. Let me just kind of zoom back in. There you go. So it is breaking out, makes a new high, first entry long. You technically have a second entry long here, but this is just a lot of, look at these candles like up and down. They're just side by side, very stacked, very congested. So I didn't want to try to attempt this or even look for even if I saw, let's say, first entry long, second entry long, technically on the second entry long, this one hasn't failed yet, but on this candle, it breaks. It doesn't break below either, so it hasn't failed yet, and it finally fails on this candle. And if you could say, if you're going to argue that there's a lower high here to confirm your failed second entry long, your failed second entry long is already looking pretty ugly. So you're going to take a iffy trade on a pretty ugly setup when the EMA is kind of flattening out. You're near the lows, so you're going to try to short into the already lows of the day. Granted, this could still keep moving down, but there's just too much going against it. Technically, it is a setup here, and even when this candle closes, look how ugly it is. It didn't close the bottom. It's going to push toward the bottom of this trading range. Just a lot of things going against it. So technically, yes, there's a lower high here. Prices continue chopping. Prices move up. And then I disregard this. I was trying something on NinjaTrader. Price continue, and then I do see so right here, you're seeing one touch, two touch. And then I actually drew this top one first, and then I dragged it down to the bottom. So when I drew this, I said, okay, I like this touch confirmation here, but I wasn't really sure if this bottom guy was here. And this might be a spike into a channel, but I saw this breakout, and I decided to drag it down. So it's actually kind of looked like this at one time. I wasn't sure about this overshoot, so I said I'm going to take it down a little bit lower. I didn't have to confirm the bottom until here. And there's a third confirmation. So although This one's nice at the EMA and it confirms on the trend line. It didn't confirm for third touch. This is the third touch, but now it's far from the EMA. But I thought this is actually a possible viable trade just because it's bouncing off the trend channel and the prices are clearly moving bullish now. And there's no, I mean, I wish there was like a measured move I could take this off of, but there wasn't a clear measured move. But this is also a kind of a really bad signal bar. So this would have been an aggressive failed second entry. So it'd be a new low here, first entry short. Second entry short as soon as it breaks below this candle. And then, so second entry short, then it fails and moves back up, made a double bottom. So to take a trade at the top here would be kind of scary because this is all you would see at this point. But then you would have had to trust your instinct and take it one tick above here on this kind of crappy signal bar. But it turns out it would have worked out, and the prices continue moving up. Makes a small little overshoot here, doesn't come back and test the EMA, and just kind of moves into the close. So it was a pretty interesting day. I, from my experience level, didn't see too many setups. I kind of nerfed and screwed up on my first two trades and just decided to call it a day. Then I just kind of saw some other setups, but some of them felt a little risky and more aggressive. So hopefully that was helpful.